Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I'm Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. Oh my goodness, we are back after an hiatus. I've been writing a book. It's almost ready to be submitted. We're getting there. We're getting there. It takes some time, but the book itself is finished. I've completed writing it. So now it's just a matter of getting it submitted. So some final editing things, and that will be done. In the meantime, I am back, and the moment is back. We are going to be on Monday through Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Same time every day. I cover stoicism, spirituality, politics, legislation. There's so many things. And now comedy and controversy has been rebranded into democratic philosophy. And the reason why we've gone this route is because, well, we want to go more in depth on things and not so much have the comedy about it, because there's nothing funny going on with what's going on in our country. And we want to get down to we just want to get down to it. We want to bring it to you, and we're going to bring out more of what democracy is about and our philosophical beliefs behind that. And with me today is the host of Democratic Philosophy, Jeremy Baker. Hello, Jeremy. How you doing?
What's going on, man? It's good to be just the guest, or well, I guess co-host, but I don't have to do anything this time. Usually, when I'm on my other show, I have to click away at the keyboard and the mouse. But this is nice. So
All
yeah, it's good to
right.
be back. I'm glad. We took some time off. I think we've both evolved since then, and this should be a stronger comeback. So I think it was.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
didn't want to take a break, but it was necessary. I think.
Yes. Oh, definitely, definitely. And you've evolved tremendously and all that, because you're helping out Esteban on the Esteban Hour, aren't you?
Yeah, that kind of happened right as you and me started taking a break. I met both you guys on Twitter. Um, and I just started talking to him, and like I was doing on your show at the beginning, was just, on there a couple times here and there, and then it just became a regular thing. And then one day we talked about it and decided to put our heads together and team up. And then now I help co-produce the show, and I co-host the Week in Review, along with our sound offs, which we do, one topic at a time. In our Week in Review, we try to discuss anywhere from like 6 to 10 topics, depending on how many guests we have. And we've actually been making a lot of progress, been booking some good guests. We've had a couple people from the Midas Touch Network on. We have another person, Fred Wellman, is going to be on this Friday, coming up on the 22nd. And yeah, things are rolling, man. Things are really good. And I've gotten a video editing. I've gotten into all these things I've never done before. I'm going to be 46 tomorrow. And keep in mind, up until I met Paul, I literally I've never podcasted before, never did. I wasn't even on social media. And now it's like literally my life. And I love it. I love it. I'm glad you got me into it. I'm glad you gave me an opportunity. You're the first person to really give me a voice or allow me to use my voice online like this. You know what I mean? Most people think I'm crazy, and you took a chance on, just this random guy from Pennsylvania. And, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be with the Esteban Hour. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Well,
This was the genesis right here.
you have a great book, and you're trying to get out how you feel about things, and I think that's important. Not that you and I agree on everything, but that's part of what we do in this country. We have discussions. We talk about things. We review things. We give our thoughts and why we see things a certain way. And the thing that I like about you is we don't have to agree on everything. We continue going forward, especially with the things that we do agree on. And we both see this country going downhill rapidly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the Esteban Hour, everybody, if you check the banner at the bottom of the screen, I have on there where you can find Esteban and the Esteban Hour. Make sure that you check out his shows on YouTube. And of course, you're going to find Jeremy Baker also on the Esteban Hour. It's a really, really good show. I've been a guest on there. Esteban's been a guest on here. We kind of got this thing going back and forth to where we're going to help each other out, because we all have a message, and we're trying to get it out. And the things that we coincide on, I think, are the most important factors. The
Mm-hmm.
reality is I think most people actually have a lot more in common than they do not. So go ahead, Jeremy.
I was gonna say it's funny you say that. It's like it's kind of weird how we all came together because we're all from different places. Esteban's up in New York, you're out in California, I'm in Pennsylvania, and I met you, and then I met Esteban, and then how we got both you guys together, and then we've been able to expand from there because guests that I met through you on your show have now gone over and been guests on the Esteban Hour as well. So we've been building this network almost of just amazing like-minded people, and the more we talk, the more people seem to start to want to hear what we have to say. So I used to think I was crazy with all this. Even when I wrote my book, I thought I was absolutely insane and nobody was going to listen to what I had to say. But apparently, I don't know, maybe my distorted views on things are just what we need right now.
No worries. I'm going to give a shout out to Sarah Donahue with Mixed Messages and Lana Quest with the Quest Show. Both of them have been on both of our shows, and
we haven't had Sarah on the other show.
Oh, you haven't? I thought Sarah.
Not yet.
Not
yet.
No,
not yet. Lana's been on a couple times.
She will in time. Both are really good shows. You need to check them out. Lana Quest and Sarah Donahue. They have very, very strong messages. You definitely need to check out their shows. All right. Let's get on with our democratic philosophy here. We have looked at, read, and seen things in relation to Project 2025. Something that the far right, and I mean the far right, are putting out there and propagating. And I'm going to read something from Project 2025. Take it as you may. You might have views that it's like, I agree with this. And if you do, well, I truly don't think you're a good human being, because this is horrible. And I'm just going to go over one section here because this kind of applies to me. And I think it applies to Jeremy also in a different aspect. So I'm going to add this from Project 2025. And you can get the PDF. All you got to do is type in Project 2025 and you can get the PDF.
Yeah, it's out there. Just a giant manifesto out there.
Anyways, starting right up here. And let's take it down to here. The next conservative president must make the institutions of American civil society hard targets for woke culture warriors. Okay, now just the terminology there, woke, which is simply being aware of inequality and injustice. Okay, it's just simply being aware. And I guess they don't want people to be aware. This starts with deleting the terms. This starts with deleting the terms sexual orientation and gender identity, diversity, equity and inclusion, gender equality, gender equity, gender awareness, gender sensitive, abortion, reproductive health, reproductive rights, and any other term used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights out of every federal rule, agency regulation, contract grant regulation, and piece of legislation that exists. So they want to take away people's First Amendment right to not infringe upon their First Amendment rights, is how they're wording it. And they want all of these words that I just read off deleted out of every federal rule, agency regulation, contract grant regulation, and piece of legislation that exists.
That's insane.
Real,
that's absolutely insane.
And I can go on into this. There is so much stuff in this that it's
let's list off some of the highlights. We have that. Well, of course, they want to criminalize potentially the LGBTQ community. So if they could literally, it's like World War II and the Jews. I mean, for crying out loud, how much clearer can this possibly be? I mean, seriously, they literally want to make it illegal to be. That's what drives me nuts, especially when the thing that drives me nuts about the anti-LGBTQ community is the fact that you can't choose what your kids become. Like, you don't choose if your child that is now young and only this tall, if your child is going to be gay, if your child's going to be trans. You don't decide that. So you're telling me you're going to let these people put laws in place that would potentially criminalize your own freaking children is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. But these people don't think of that. They think of all the other people that already exist. Like, that's never going to happen to me and my family because we're good Christian people. That's the second highlight. They want to make America a white nationalist Christian nation. That is what the end game is. They want Christianity to be America's official religion. They want English to be America's official language. They want to legalize abortions. I mean, you name it, it is in here. Like, if you have any common sense or any respect for people around you and your potential future generations, you cannot support this. This is literally Nazism put into democratic terms that they're trying to sugarcoat and pass off. This is ridiculous. I never thought I'd actually see some, but apparently this isn't the first time they've even tried this. They tried this in 2016 and were widely successful with Donald Trump implementing a lot of their policies. That's why they exist. They tried this already. And unfortunately, everything fell apart for them. You know what I mean? And now they're going to try it again, and they're going to do it even harder because they learned from what happened last time. They don't care if Donald Trump is president or not. They just want a conservative. I don't want to. All right, everybody needs to stop calling these people conservatives. They are extremists. They are a domestic terrorist organization. This is awful. The end of democracy as we know it. Fascism, dictatorship. Forget about voting ever again. I mean, for real.
Yeah,
they even want this to be the last vote.
They are not conservatives.
No.
They've gone so far right, it's not even funny. They've gone so far right, they've left the ballpark. I'm an independent, and I have conservative values, and I have democratic values, liberal values, progressive values, and I definitely lean more to the left than I do to the right. All right, I would say I'm probably about 60-40. Maybe 70-30, more to the left. And when I hear this kind of rhetoric, it's very disturbing. I'm pansexual. Okay. I didn't choose to be somebody that has thoughts of people of any gender or sexuality, sexual orientation. It's the way I was born. I didn't choose it. Okay. And when I hear this kind of language and what they want to do, it's appalling because I'll be somebody that they come after. I'm going to be somebody that they're going to want to lock up and throw away the key because they're not going to want me to be heard and they're not going to want me to exist in this society. And I believe that you have a daughter that is transgender, so they're going to come after her, and then they're also going to come after family members.
Well, my son's gay. And I am what you would call woke. So they would come after me. Even though I'm a straight white man, they would figure out a way to come after me because of the way I speak, because I think all of this is bullshit.
Correct.
It is awful that we are even talking about this right now in 2023 America.
I know.
We have regressed as a country. We have literally gone backwards.
Right. And by them making this statement, obviously everyone, according to them, is not entitled to a pursuit of happiness. Okay. You had a couple clips here and all that. I'm going to play the first clip.
Oh, this one's fantastic. Jesus, just listen to this nonsense. I mean, this is scary, but
Heritage got on the marker as a organization by delivering the first mandate for leadership in 1980 to President-elect Reagan. We also, over time, gave a lot of resumes in, but when Dr. Roberts came aboard, he said, this task in 2024 is too big for any one think tank. This has to be a movement. And what we've done is use our convening power here at Heritage to bring the entire movement together. So 2025 is not a Heritage thing, it's a conservative movement thing. We're going to explain briefly here. We're going to have a panel and we'll have a video. But what we're doing is systematically preparing to march into office and bring a new army of aligned, trained, and essentially weaponized conservatives ready to do battle against the deep state.
Now, I want you to think about that. Weaponized.
exactly, you just literally said it.
Yeah, we're going to march. We're going to march. Weaponized. I mean, they're looking at militarizing the Conservative Party, or what they consider to be the Conservative Party. I mean, that's a scary thought, especially when we get into more of what they say. It's just, oh.
Yeah, this they have a plan for the first 100 days or 180 days. I can't remember what it is. That they want. They literally have a plan for marching in, and they use the word weaponize the government. I mean, they literally said it out loud. Yes. In a room full of people, like, we're not going to find this stuff. And maybe a lot of people probably wouldn't look for something like this, but this is being said. And this is not just some random group of stupid white people with too much money and too much power. They're well-funded, a lot of dark money. They are well organized, and there is a stack. I think it's either 30 or 50 conservative groups are all under this one umbrella of Project 2025. It's not one group. It's a gigantic conglomerate of a bunch of groups.
Yes.
And all of these groups have influence and power and money in their own way. So if we allow this to happen, and the only way they can pull this off is if they get the right president in office in 2025 or in 2024. The vote has to go their way. They know it. They've even said it. They said we have to win in 2024 in order for this to ever work.
This is their advisory board: the Alabama Policy Institute, the Alliance Defending Freedom, American Compass, the American Conservative, America First Legal Foundation, American Accountability Foundation, American Center for Law and Justice, American Cornerstone Institute. I mean, you said that there are a ton of organizations backing this, and then when you go down further, it's got a list of all the authors and let's see here, contributors. A list of the contributors to this.
Yeah, all willing. But to me, this is. How is this not written form of treason?
I mean, this is huge. It's organized, and everybody should be afraid of this. I mean, it's seriously, it's something to be definitely concerned about. I don't think it can be classified as terroristic because it's not in action. Again, this goes back to case law. We go back to USB Schneck where we had can't shout fire in a theater, and then that created clear and present danger. Then you go to Brandenburg v. Ohio, which overturned that because now it has to be clear and imminent danger.
Mm-hmm.
So they can portray this, and until it's actually considered to be an imminent threat that it's going to do something, there's basically nothing that can be done. All it can do is be on a watch list, basically, in essence.
Yeah, but they know. They've admitted it. They only have one opportunity left to pull this off, and that's next year. So even if
Yes.
you don't like Joe Biden or you support, I mean, even if you hate Joe Biden, but you're not for this or don't want to vote as a result of the candidates not voting next year, is the same exact thing as voting for Donald Trump or whoever the Republicans put in this position. Because if they get in the White House in sworn in 2025, this is going into action, and we won't be able to stop it at that point. It'll be over.
I
Okay,
agree
they
and
will
disagree
make.
in essence. I agree in the essence of, depending upon who it is, if a Republican were elected, it would depend upon who the Republican is.
Donald Trump's dumb enough to do stuff like this, though. They'll throw money at him, and he'll be like, "Okay."
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
I think DeSantis would be on board with it.
Oh, easily.
I think Vivek would be
Easily.
on board with it.
That guy's on board with anything.
I think Nikki Haley would in part be on board with it. I think there's certain things that she might flinch at, and then again, she might go all in. I think Mike Pence, again, he's going to be. He truly believes in the Constitution, and I think if it violates the Constitution, he'll say no. If it actually violates the Constitution, he would say no to it. But I think he could be pushed right up to that gray line. Okay. Chris Christie, I think Chris Christie would turn his back on this.
I do too. I was hoping you'd say that. Man. I was going to argue with you on that one. I think Chris Christie would be like, F you. Get this shit out of my office. I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't agree with Chris Christie in a lot of ways. I mean, for what, you know what? For once, I would like a Republican candidate to go on the stage and go, you know what? Yes, Joe Biden, by the numbers, is doing a fantastic job, but I think I can do better. Then I would have some respect for that person at least. But he even goes on TV and is like, oh, yeah, Donald Trump's an asshole, and gives you all these examples. And then he's like, but Joe Biden's tearing this country apart and tanking our economy. I'm like, oh, stop. Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, not every Republican can be John McCain. What can I say? All right. We have another clip here. I hate to say it, but
I think this second one, I think, is their commercial.
Okay. Let's see.
What is Project 2025? It's a call for you to come work here, Washington, D.C.
Conservatives face a tough challenge in Washington, the swamp. The left has built a system that blocks and sabotages our efforts to run our government and deliver a conservative agenda.
People would come into the government on behalf of a president and not be bought into the agenda that he was elected to do. They were either uncommitted or incompetent.
Things aren't going to change unless you commit to serving our country.
We want to make sure that the plans that are in place have been vetted so that the person knows not only what argument and excuses come in their way, but what the answer is, and have the trust of a movement-wide effort led by the Heritage Foundation to make sure that they know that it's credible and it's conservative.
This time, we have a secret weapon. This time, we have Project 2025.
Yeah. Bullshit. I love how they paint this beautiful picture of it's going to be a beautiful life in America if we support this project.
Right. Here's the thing. If you're somebody that's on the right, all right, and let's say you are a good, decent human being and you're on the right and you see that ad, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing derogatory in that ad.
Nothing.
Okay. And if you're on the right, you're going to love what that commercial just spoke of. You're going to love that because, again, it's presented in a way that sounds reasonable.
Right. They're sugarcoating everything.
Yes.
They don't want that. They don't expect people. They know people are not going to read this stuff and they're not going to,
Bingo.
Who's going to sit down like us and sit down and read things like this and watch videos about it and actually research it? You know what I mean? I mean, who's going to who has time to read a 900-page document? You know what I mean?
I don't know if you just checked out my new episode of Who Wrote the Bill. I presented a bill I had 3 panelists, and I would read parts, and I would ask them, who do you think wrote the bill, Democrat or Republican? And they all kept saying Democrat. They all kept saying Democrat. Then when I get to the meat of the bill, I still say Democrat, but bipartisan co-sponsorship, you know. And when I got done and I revealed it, it was sponsored by a Republican and co-sponsored. There was only 1 Democrat out of, I think, 12 co-sponsors. All right. And once you read the bill and you get to the meat and potatoes, and I asked them red flag, yellow flag, or green flag. In other words, red flag, you think it's a completely bad bill. Green flag, you think it's a good bill. And yellow flag, you're cautious. You want to know more. And I had 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 green. Okay. And when we went through and we broke down the aspects of it, in the end, they were all red. Because when you truly look at the bill for what it is, you see the underlying BS that's going with it. Well, that's the same thing about what the Republicans just did here. They present a good commercial in hopes that nobody reads Project 2025, because you basically have to be a bigot, a racist, a misogynist, a fascist. And I don't like to use that terminology, fascist, because that's very specific, but this is a fascist project. It truly is. And it scares me, because they're going to come after me because I'm pansexual. So I'm afraid, you know?
Yeah. I mean, all of us should be afraid to think that this is not going to affect you in some way. If they're able to implement this, is ridiculous. They're going to find some way, some form. I mean, you know what I mean? This is like this white elitist,
yes,
forming of a dictatorship in America. They want, they don't want people. These guys are so against things like socialism. They are so against things like socialism. So this is a way for them to avoid things like helping the American people, at the expense of the government, which is really what socialism is, in its basic form. I mean, obviously there's more to it and there's different types of it, but yeah, this benefits nobody. This doesn't benefit. They're not going to give the poor any extra money. They're not going to give you free universal. They're not going to give you universal. They're not even going to think about universal health care. They even want to privatize the TSA. I believe it is. They don't want to get rid of the TSA completely and privatize that. So that wouldn't be a government regulated. That would be a independently run, whoever the highest bidder is kind of thing. I mean, they want to get rid of the, I'm sure the DOJ, the DOD. Oh my God, I should have wrote the list down. I mean, there's so many different organizations they just want to abolish, get rid of completely. Not even revamp them, they want to completely get rid of them so they could just build whatever they want from the ground up. I mean, they're trying to gut a lot of the systems that we rely on, the justice system, for crying out loud. I mean, you really want these elitist white people making decisions for you and your family? You think they really have your best interest at heart? No, this is fascist nonsense.
Yes, it is. It is. All right, let's get to this last video on Project 2025. I haven't watched this one, so I don't know what's in it. So
I believe this is, I don't even remember what this one is.
I would have given my right arm to have had the book that I see on so many tables out there, to have this Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. I would have been able to go to our agency action team and put the book down and say, hey, here's what you should take a look at when you're going to build out how to run EPA or the Department of Justice
there we
or
go.
DOD.
That's what this
the
is.
Fourth pillar that you talked about, Paul, the idea that there's a battle plan, plans, executive orders. How do you write those? What rules are important? What should you focus on? What can you anticipate that Congress may want to reverse or advance? What should your priorities be for the administration? All of that will be part of this project that we provide the next conservative president. So I'm ecstatic about it. I wish I'd had at least this first piece, the book. And I'm happy actually to turn it over to Deputy Secretary at Homeland Security and former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli to tell you a little bit more about what is in this book and how important it is.
Yeah, so you hear some of the names. I forget the guy that was speaking. He had something to do with Donald Trump too in the White House. I forget his name, but he is basically talking to a room full of people. This is what he's talking about, weaponizing. That's what they're doing right there. They're weaponizing people to go in, and they're giving them their 900-page playbook and teaching them what to do with it. That is exactly what you're seeing. You're literally witnessing them weaponizing people, taking steps now to implement next year during the election and when the next president is sworn in, if it goes their way.
Yes, it's scary. I encourage everyone to get the PDF of Project 2025 and read it. You just simply have to read it. I can't see anyone that truly believes in humanitarian value to side with this Project 2025 platform. I just, if you have any kind of love for human beings at all, I can't see you getting on board with it. In my opinion, the people that are getting on board with this, it's the true root of evil. I just, to hate so many different types of people from so many different things, whether it's the country of origin, whether it's the religion you have been born into to believe into, whether it's who you are as a human being, sexually, who you are as a human being, just in general and all that. I mean, how long before they start depicting, eye color as an evil and all that? If you don't have blue eyes, we need to question what you're about, because we know that people with green eyes think this way and people with brown eyes think like this. And we can't have that in our society anymore. How long before it comes down to eye color, hair color, height, weight? How long before they break it down into just whatever it
the
is?
most basic things.
Yes. You might think you're safe now, but you just wait. You just wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, I tell you, I tell you. This is frustrating for me. Again, I'm being targeted by this, and
Yeah, we all are.
Really sad. And targeted me, they're going to target my family. My children, my stepchildren. Just it's scary as hell. It's scary as hell.
This isn't Republican or even independent stuff. This is so far, like you said, so far to the right, but they're trying to sugarcoat it to appeal to normal Republicans and independents. That's the problem I have with it. And their entire basis for this is based on a term they can't themselves seem to define. I mean, when you base, like I think we've talked about it before. If you go after, they're not going after a certain religion necessarily. I mean, they're going after woke ideology. So anything they disagree with, they can say is woke ideology.
Right. And they
You know what I mean? And then boom. Right. And they're going to be the ones that define a term that they have no idea whether they can't even define it now. And they want to, that's what they're going to base this whole thing on. Stop it, man. Stop it. This is insane.
I know. And here's the other aspect of it. You have these people that are on here and they're promoting this ideology. Okay. They're promoting it. And yet they don't follow it themselves.
No.
And as an example, here's our next clip. This is provided for by the Midas Touch Network. Ben Mysalis is the speaker on this. So let's play this clip real quick.
Boebert. say it three
Actually, I
times
don't
and
think
shift
that's his
gears
voice.
in security video from a weekend performance of Beetlejuice, where the Congresswoman was kicked out of the theater for being disruptive. The DCPA says she was vaping. Boebert's team denied that, said the haze was from fog machines in the show. That claim goes up in smoke when you see the video. The pregnant woman sitting behind Boebert told the Denver Post she asked her to stop vaping, and Boebert refused. Her one-woman show continued, taking flash photos, raising her hands and dancing, often the only one clapping or standing up in the crowd. Boebert occasionally took a break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned and told Boebert she had to leave.
Okay. And again, thank you, Midas Touch and all that, for being on top of things. Anyone that hasn't checked out the Midas Touch, I encourage you to do so. Ben Mycelis and the rest of the crew and all that, they're really, really good people. And and of course, sometimes they throw a spin on things that I sometimes disagree with. I think sometimes they'll take things a little bit too far into a spin, but for the most part, they do bring the facts, even though they may add to those facts, how they'll throw opinion onto the fact. And I don't always agree with the opinion, but they do bring the facts. But again, Lauren Boebert in a theater, okay, and Morgan Freeman did a tweet on this, and there's people on there that are, again, conservatives are justifying this, blah, blah, blah.
How are they justifying this behavior?
Now, here's what I want you to think about. If this was AOC,
and seriously, right?
This, Republicans would be just calling her every name in the book and saying what a bad example she is for our children and blah, blah, blah. But Lauren Boebert does this and they defend it. And this is the other video that I want to share with you. This is a little bit more close.
No, wait. Hold up before you share it. I want to give some perspective on this. The right is freaking out right now because of a video on Kamala Harris dancing at a live concert for the 50th anniversary hip hop celebration she was at. Freaking out because a woman was dancing to hip hop music, going absolutely nuts. And then now you can play the next clip. And if they want to defend this behavior, they can kiss my ass. This is awful.
I want you to look at Lauren Boebert.
It should zoom in.
Check out this guy next to her. He's fondling her.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't zoom in.
Okay. And I want you to watch because she's going to put her hand in his crotch. There it goes. Her hand went into his crotch. Now, you can find excerpts of this video on YouTube everywhere.
Actually, if you go to my TikTok feed, I blew that up and you can see exactly what's happening. Because when I found that part of the clip, I went and cut it and put it into one of my I'm sorry, I thought I sent you that clip. But no, you can see quite obviously she is being groped. She is into it. And it actually starts to intensify a little bit. And then she puts her hands on his crotch. And there's families around. This is a musical of Beetlejuice. First of all, look at the people around her. Go in on YouTube or wherever you want and watch whatever blown up video of this. And look at the people around. It's families. There's a pregnant woman behind her. She's vaping. Her flash is going off non-freaking stop. She's dancing like an asshole. I believe she bumps the guy next to her and he actually goes like this. And she looks like she's not on a date. Okay, I'll say it. She looks like she's on the job. She looks like old habits are dying a little bit hard because she is wearing the most ridiculous outfit. First of all, you're a congresswoman. Second of all, you're at a family function. Your boobs are pouring out of your dress, and then you're getting ready to give a guy a hand job. while there's other people sitting around you. You're not even in the back row in the dark where nobody can see you. Like Paul said, you're not even in
Right.
like when I was young, yeah, we went to the theater with girls to make out in the dark. That's what we did in the 90s.
Right.
And
And that's what I want to point out, okay? I don't have a problem with people making out in a theater, okay? When I was young, and I've made out in a theater, but I was in the back row.
Exactly.
Over where nobody was sitting, so nobody could see me because it is dark in a theater. And people's eyes are forward, thus I'm in the back row, okay?
Right in the
She's
middle.
not in the back row.
She's right in the
on
middle.
the outside aisle. She's so everybody can see her, okay? Now, the other aspect is when I did it, I wasn't a congressperson. I was young. I was naive. And
Right. I was like
again,
15.
I had
wasn't a
hormones
grandparent.
flowing. And, you know, when we're young and we're, you know, we don't think about these things. When you're in a position of power, okay, you need to show respect. You need to be there's certain expectations of a congressperson or anyone of any.
There used to be anyway.
Well, yeah. Anyone that's in a position of power needs to present in a very professional manner. All right. Lauren Boebert walking into a theater, cameras are going to still be on her.
She's
Lauren
obviously
Boebert.
intoxicated. If you
Okay.
watch the video of her walking out, she's stumbling, wobbling back and forth. She flips the people off on the way out.
Yeah,
I mean, total trash, just total trash.
And I won't make any assumptions or assertions.
Okay, allegedly, possibly intoxicated. I will take
Right.
that statement
But
back. I
what
apologize.
what I will say is that she has a reputation that she's supposed to be upholding. That's supposed to be of integrity, respect, dignity, and here she again vaping. A pregnant woman asked her to please not do it, and
The woman was upset.
Right, and she basically ignored the woman, taking selfies and flashes again during a something that everybody's there to see, and then she makes out. Okay,
I just thought of something. Like, why would you draw so much attention to yourself? Because if you watch the full just the surveillance clip of that,
right,
like the woman is so upset because of the flashes going off on her phone. She's taking pictures literally with the flash shining in the lady behind her. Then she's taking pictures of the stage, flashes freaking going off.
right.
How would you draw that much attention to yourself? Then argue with the woman behind you. Like literally say, like, I don't know what she was saying, but it didn't look like they were having a nice conversation. To drawing that much attention to yourself, to thinking you're going to get, felt up and give a guy an old fashioned,
right?
While you're in a room full of people, like it's the most ridiculous thing.
The other aspect of this, though, that I want to draw out, Jeremy, is that we just did a segment on Project 2025. It talks about bringing back family values,
right? And she's missed Christian values. By the way,
they want to outlaw pornography.
Yeah.
Okay. All these things that she is propagating that she wants our country to be, she goes out in public and does the opposite.
Well, it's not just her though. There's other ones that are. Right. I mentioned before the show.
Right. I know, but since we're doing this on her, I want to point out the hypocrisy with her right here, right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Promoting family values and turning around and putting her hand in a guy's crotch while he's feeling her up in a theater where there are families.
Right.
There's probably children in the theater, and they're pissed about a drag queen reading a book, and yet,
that's what you want to. I mean, yeah.
Oh!
I'd like to point out a couple things.
Yes.
One, she did this in Colorado, which I think is literally the end of her career right there. She just ended it to, act like a a child, like a rich, spoiled child is how she acted. You know what I mean? Do you know who I am? That's exactly what she said. Do you know who I am? I'm sorry. I know it's supposed to be serious, but I can't help but laugh at that. Like, she just acts like she has no common sense whatsoever. But yeah, the hypocrisy is absolutely insane. Not only the family values one, because that one went out the window when we found out she had an affair on her husband, and then covered up for her husband when apparently there was a 911 call. We all know about that with the son. We don't know exactly what happened, so I just have to speculate, and I'm not going to say it out loud. But then she's the one that runs around the country and in her state talking about Christian value this, Christian value this. The Bible has helped me, blah, blah, blah. That's Christian values? You're telling me how could she possibly go anywhere after this video has been released and talk about Christian values? And like going back to what you said at the beginning of the segment, how is the right trying to justify this? If Biden trips going up a set of stairs or makes a commercial drinking out of a dark Brandon mug, they lose their freaking minds. But you want to tell me that this is, again, hypocrisy? Hypocrisy 100%. You know what I mean? They're an entire group of people of do what I say, not what I do. You know, what I do is okay, but what I think you should do is this. It's a lot of them.
Yes.
Not just Lauren Boebert. There's other ones out there that are getting caught up in scandals, and we'll get into it today.
Well,
or unless you want me to mention it.
Well, there's so much hypocrisy on the right. I mean, again, go watch the Midas Touch. They point a lot of this out. I mean, before Trump was elected, you would have like Ted Cruz talking shit about Trump. You would have Paul Ryan. You would have McCarthy. All of these different people, you know, saying how bad he is, what he's going to do to our country. Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, all of them talking just how bad he is. Then he gets elected, and then, you know, and even all the, like, I mean, my God, he made fun of Ted Cruz's wife, and Ted Cruz is still down there licking his boots, you know.
Ted Cruz is another character. He's the one all getting mad about, I'm not drinking 2 beers a week.
My point is that they go whichever way the wind blows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever the people are saying in one aspect, that's how they all fly. And then when it changes course, we're going to do that 180, and now it's this, and this. And then if things go bad, we're going to flip back this way. If things are going to go good, we're just going to keep pushing it. Their narrative is whichever way the wind blows. They don't really care as long as it's attracting people into their rhetoric, and they think that they're lining up with people and getting people to follow them.
I thought of a perfect example: the pro-life hypocrisy. Okay, that pro-life has literally lost them support. This whole pro-life movement of theirs, because it's obviously the most giant hypocrisy that most of us have ever seen. Now they've decided to rebrand it as pro-birth, pro-baby, as a pro-baby, I believe, is like, but they're not changing their policies, is my point. They're not changing any of their policies. They're just taking the same lump of shit, and then they're going to dust it off and then rewrap it and give it to somebody else. It's literally the same exact thing. They're not backing off their position on abortion. They're not backing off their position on anything. They're just trying to rebrand all these failed campaigns of theirs, but they're not changing any of their policies. But I don't even think at this point any of them have policy. It just seems like all they want to do is get Donald Trump back into power, and that's it. So it doesn't matter what they say. They don't think. I don't understand what the end game is here, because they've got to be losing support. No independent is going to look at what's going on. I mean, I would think no rational independent is going to look at what's going on in the Republican Party right now and go, yeah, you know what? I like that. You know what I mean? They're losing, and the independents are probably the biggest group of voters that there is, isn't there? I mean, it's
yes.
Yeah.
Democrats and Republicans are about 20-25%. They're right around there for each party. Independents are about 40% percent of the voting populace. And then, of course, you have all your other third parties out there, Green Party, Forward Party, People's Party, Libertarian Party. And the thing of it is that the third parties and independents are going to be a huge deciding factor in the upcoming election. And I know a lot of people that are on the left are very, very scared because you got Cornel West coming out with the Green Party. Okay. Cornel West is a great guy. And there's some things that I don't like in relation to him in the aspect of back child support. How can you come out and promote families and stuff like that when you haven't even paid your child support? So I have an issue there with Cornel West. But again, though, compared to other candidates out there, he's the top of the list, And again, we're not getting great candidates that are actually going to progress our country because so many of them have so much dirt. I mean, we have Joe Manchin that's probably going to be running no labels. We have RFK, which will never be endorsed by the Democratic Party as a primary candidate. So he'll probably run independent. And he's going to be a big threat because he's going to pull from both sides, the left and the right. There's a lot of third party people that like Joe Manchin. Okay.
Let's talk about no labels real quick.
What's that?
Let's mention no labels real quick. I'm actually extremely disappointed because at first I think I talked to you about this, that it would be a decent third option. Let's be clear. They're pretty much funded by the same billionaires that are giving all these gifts and lavish things to Supreme Court justices. To me, this is MAGA 2.0. Okay. This is the Republican Party has failed, or the MAGA has failed. We need another option to replace MAGA. I don't think it's any better. Maybe the people that support them are different. Maybe they want to pretend their policies are different, but I think this is just a Trojan horse that'll take away votes from Biden, which will eventually that will help Trump.
Well, no, actually, the idea behind no labels is to make sure Trump doesn't get elected.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well,
I think that's bullshit.
Whether we agree with that or not, and all that.
No, I know. But that's part of the show. We don't agree on everything, especially you and me.
Right. The bottom line is that I think no labels is going to be more policy oriented. Not that I'll agree with all their policies or anything like that, but I think they're going to be a lot more policy oriented versus what the current MAGA is, because the current MAGA isn't about policy. It's about Hunter Biden's laptop, No,
I think they're trying to be the Republican Party of old. You know what I mean? They're trying to go back to that.
I think that's the direction that they might be trying to head. We have Libertarian Party and all that. There's a lot of
and what I mean by old, I mean pre-Trump. I don't mean like from the 80s or 90s. Like right now, the Republican Party is insane, literally run by crazy people at the wheel. I mean, not even Lauren Boebert. Let's talk Marjorie Taylor Greene. Woo, the most powerful woman in America right now, other than Kamala Harris, or most powerful woman in Congress. You know what I mean? Probably, maybe even the most powerful person in Congress. I mean, she's the one meeting with Donald Trump to discuss, plans to impeach Joe Biden behind the scenes, having secret meetings with dumbass hats on, big red hats, and taking pictures. It's supposed to be a secret meeting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Run by insane people, like I said.
But where you're saying, taking pictures, blah, 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 the people on the right like that. They like that popularity and populist mentality and all that. And that's what keeps them tied in. So it's part of the cult mentality. And yes,
but that's the thing. They're only appealing to their freaking base is what I'm trying. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Well, this behavior doesn't appeal to anybody but the MAGA base.
Okay.
It doesn't appeal to normal people at all.
Here's what you got to remember. Okay. I'm going to say something good about Republicans here.
Oh, shit.
Okay. When they run for office, they always have somebody running for office. They don't leave a seat open. When there's nobody running, they're in there and they got somebody running. When it
Mhm.
comes to voting, they vote for themselves. They get out there, and even if they don't like who it is, they get out there and they vote.
Mhm.
So I don't care what any of the bad things are that you have to say about the Republican Party. The Republican Party gets out there and they vote and they hold office.
You know, they are
Democrats get lazy.
they're starting to come on a little bit stronger than they used to, though.
Yes, they
They
are.
are.
Because
They
guess
definitely
what?
are.
If they don't, if
I
they
mean,
don't,
they have some superstars in the Congress right now. You
things
got
get
Jamie
bad.
Raskin. You got Hakeem Jeffries. You've got Representative Bowman. You've got AOC. I mean, we've got some.
I get this. I'm just making a point and all that. The Republicans get out there each and every time, and it doesn't matter who they have running. And those of us that are voting on the left, because I'm voting blue no matter who,
Mhm.
only because I see the threat to our democracy that the right.
Oh no, I mean not as far as voting goes, as far as superstars. I mean, they actually are talking back and fighting back. And then
Yes,
you have people like the Lincoln Project. You have the Midas Touch Network. You've got
right.
David Pakman Show. You have so many of these independent networks that are dedicated to telling the truth and calling out the lies, and even calling out the corporate news networks for their exaggerations and their spins on things. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Which is another problem, because what blows my mind as somebody who appreciates a little bit of critical thinking is these are things I don't understand, is how after Fox News can be sued and pay out almost $1 billion with $787 million and for lying with text messages and emails and corroborating stories, still be the most watched news network in the country. It's like feeding somebody shit and then them going, "Can I have some more of that shit, please?" I think it'll be better this time around.
Jeremy, do you watch Fox?
I have to, because of doing podcasting and current events and whatnot. Unfortunately, I don't watch Fox, but I do use them as a source of information, usually to make fun of,
Right.
because all of their stuff is nonsense.
You need to start watching Fox, though, because you have to understand the propaganda that's being put out there. And
Oh
why,
no, I see it all the time. I
why
mean,
the
I'm on, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube all the time, and I try and get a mix of both. I try and force myself to get a mix of both, but sometimes, man, it's hard to listen to some of the stuff they say.
Right.
It's just like when I hear it, I go in my head, how? Not only how do people listen to this, but how is this even? How does the FCC not pull their freaking broadcast licenses for doing stuff like this? This is not news. Like you said, it's just 100% propaganda.
Correct. And that's what our news has become, has been propaganda. Whether you're on the left or the right, they'll give you a fact or a half fact or part of a fact, and then they throw their opinionated spin on it and try to throw you in a direction. So whether you're on the left or the right, if you're watching a news source, that is what you're getting, and that's why you believe the way you believe. Okay.
Well, it's like perfect
If you
example of that.
Hold on a
Oh,
second.
I'm
If you
sorry.
start watching all sides of it and you go in with an open mind and you start listening to everything that's being said, you're going to go more to the left. And the reason why you're going to go more to the left is because you're seeing the human aspect of it. Okay. And even though, like myself, I don't agree with everything that I hear that comes out of the left, but what I do know is that even if they throw an opinion or try to throw a spin on it, they're closer to the factual actuality of what's going on than what the right is. And it's sad
It
that
is.
that's what our world has come to, all this propaganda and rhetoric, and trying to filter through it and determine what's going to be of my best interest. Because make note, okay, these news agencies know that people are working low-paying jobs, 1, 2, maybe 3 jobs if they have to try to keep a roof over their head and food on the table, and they don't have time to sift through the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't have time to sift through the bullshit, you can feed them as much bullshit as you want, and they're going to keep eating it.
Well, see, I just want to bring up the CNN story, like you said, how they put a spin on things about Joe Biden's recent trip to. She's all over the world. They spun it like he was tired. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to do his job properly. They were just saying all these negative comments on it. But when you actually stop listening to that, maybe go on a couple independent news sources that'll actually break down his itinerary and what this man just went through in a 5-day span, or I believe it was a 5-day span. It was a 5-day trip, wasn't it?
I think so.
Okay. But you know what I mean? So yeah, the guy maybe 80 years old, but come on. He's probably one of the most capable 80-year-olds that I've ever seen.
Right. And I'm going to give you a little pushback here. And I know my liberal Democratic friends are going to hate me for this. Joe Biden is too old to be president.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Marianne Williamson, I think she's in her 70s. She's my pick. Okay. And she's too damn old.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like a lot of the younger guys. Like my pick, the only reason I think Joe Biden should stay in office is because we need continuity right now, because Trump really effed us up the butt and screwed a lot of things up, and he's doing a damn good job putting things together. I think if we have disruption in that, it's going to throw us in even further chaos. That's my fear, especially if the wrong person gets in office, because dear God, this country will go to hell in a handbasket. I mean, we're talking about people that don't even believe in climate change. You know what I mean? We're dealing with people that believe the earth is flat.
I know.
We're dealing with people that believes that the rich stay young by extracting adrenochrome from the young and torturing kids to get their blood. And like, this is some of the stuff they believe. And Donald Trump and his associates, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they promote this nonsense.
I know it is. And the bottom line is that I'm trying to get across here is that we have too many old people in government. We need younger people in there. We need more modernized ideas, innovation,
definitely
stuff like that in our government. We need term limits. There's so many things that we need to do. And this is why I'm an independent, is because I don't like the corporatized politicians that are in office. And quite frankly, of the 535 people that are in Congress between the House of Representatives and the Senate, 430 of them are corporate politicians. We have maybe 5 people that are truly progressive enough that are trying to go above and beyond. And obviously they can't get anything done because they can't get a majority in anything, because again, they're so few. So how do they get their work done? They can't. So that's where our government is we have corporations running it right now by getting them to vote on things. And that is what I think that we need to truly start focusing on in this country, and pointing out that we need corporate America to quit running the country, and we need the people to start running it again.
Well, we have a disclaimer from now on that once you start running for politics, you have to have a list of all your corporate sponsors available to you, to the public. That way we know exactly who you sold your soul to and who you're going to sell us out to.
I think anytime a lobbyist pushes or promotes something, every bill that is introduced, I think anyone corporate wise that has lobbied needs to be put on that bill as a lobbyist for the bill. I think we need to start showing America who's truly running this country.
Yeah, and that's why, this will be the last thing I said. This is why you need to vote next year. This is so why it is important. Even, like I say, even if you hate Biden and you don't like Trump and you just are like, I'm not going to vote, because I did that once and then Trump ended up being in office. So, you know what I mean? Let me be an example. If you don't vote for Biden, or if you don't vote, it's the same thing as giving Trump another vote, man. It really is. You got to get out. But I think what a lot of people are taking into account, and then I'll stop, is the fact that there's a lot of people that are going to come of age between now and a lot of people are going to come of age in the tens of millions, or over 10 million people are going to come of age to be able to vote next year between now and then. And they don't like being told what to do. They're not going to like hearing what we're talking about. So we have hope. Hopefully, hopefully Gen Z saves us. Hopefully they do.
Well, I'm pushing for ranked choice and star choice voting. I encourage anyone with a R or a D in front of their name, I encourage you to check out Forward Party, Green Party, People's Party, Libertarian Party. Check out all these other parties and their platforms. I'm not saying join them. I'm saying look at them. Look at what their values are. On Twitter, X Spaces, when they have spaces up, go into them, check them out. My Thursday show with Nick Nunley, and Nick Nunley is one of the Forward Party people. I really love what his thought process is. And again, him and I, we don't agree on everything, but Forward Party got a lot of good ideas. So check out other parties, because we need to bring it into the duopoly. We need people. Personally, I think nobody should be registered to any party, because now the left and the right would no longer have any idea who's going to vote for them. And they actually have to start bringing better candidates. And if we had ranked choice or star choice voting, I think that's going to bring a better pool of candidates. So there's things that we need to do to make this a better country. I encourage people to start checking out other platforms, other ideologies, and other thought processes. Open up your mind to that. The belief system that you have may not be as perfect as you think it is.
Yeah. That's all I got.
All right.
Man, these people are giving me a headache.
Yes.
Just the stuff we have to talk about, I can't believe we're talking about. I really can't.
All right,
It's
everyone.
almost heartbreaking.
It is. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining my show. When's Esteban's next show that you're on?
We actually have a quick sound off in like an hour. So
Okay.
we'll be doing that. Plus we have like I said, we have some great shows coming up. Our weekend review will be on Monday. And yeah, we're trying to keep in mind there's literally only a handful of us doing this. Me and Esteban, and then Mike Foligno. I forget, got to promote him at progressive _beard. Mike Foligno is amazing.
Yeah,
He's
we need
joined
to
the
get
team
him
as
on
well
this
as
show. I really like
I
it.
asked him. He wanted to be on, but he had some plans already. I asked him at the last minute, unfortunately. So
Okay.
but yeah, he'll definitely be on.
So everybody check out the Esteban Hour. If you're more into the left-wing politics, trust me, it's left-wing politics. I love Esteban. I love Jeremy, and I love the guests that I've interacted with on their show. It's a great show. It's educational. Check it out. Excuse me. That's the Esteban Hour. YouTube.com, the Esteban Hour. Go check it out. And then on In the Moment on Monday, Becoming Stoic. Tuesday, Writer's Retreat. Wednesday, The Flow. Thursday, Who Wrote the Bill. Friday, The Vellum. And of course, Saturday, Democratic Philosophy. Check it out. Remember, be kind, be happy, and make good things come your way. Thank you, everybody.